Imagine walking into a high-end gourmet grocery store on a Saturday afternoon and seeing a massive, beautifully decorated tasting table set up with 24 different exotic jam flavors. A researcher named Sheena Iyengar at Columbia University actually set up this exact experiment to study how human brains react when they are given an overwhelming abundance of choices. 60% of passing shoppers stopped to taste the free samples, but when it came time to actually spend money, only 3% ended up making a purchase. On the following Saturday, researchers changed just one single variable. They reduced the selection from 24 jam jars down to a tiny, simple display of 6 jars. Fewer people stopped by the display, but 30% of those who sampled the jam bought a jar, resulting in 10 times more sales from offering less. What most people never realize is that this exact same mental paralysis happens inside your bank account every single month when you try to make financial decisions. You believe having hundreds of options for investments, subscriptions, clothing brands, and career choices gives you total freedom, but it is secretly draining your bank account every day. Psychologist Barry Schwartz spent years studying this exact phenomenon and coined the term the paradox of choice to describe why more options make us poorer and more miserable. I break down one deep psychological concept per video in plain English. So if you want to make smarter decisions with your money, subscribe and turn on the bell right now. The primary reason having endless choices keeps you poor is a hidden cognitive mechanism known to behavioral economists as decision fatigue and severe opportunity cost inflation. Every single choice you make throughout the day, from picking a coffee to comparing 40 different credit cards online, burns through a finite pool of mental energy you need for major financial moves. When your mental energy runs out around mid-afternoon, your exhausted brain automatically defaults to the easiest path available, which is usually spending money or avoiding hard decisions. Before I get to the most counterintuitive part about why high earners lose more money to this trap than low earners, we need to examine how your brain processes loss. When you are presented with 24 options, picking one single option means your brain feels like it is saying no to 23 other potential benefits simultaneously. Nobel Prize-winning research from Daniel Kahneman proved that human beings experience the psychological pain of a loss twice as intensely as the pleasure of an equivalent gain. So when you buy one financial product out of 20 choices, your brain focuses on the 19 things you missed out on, causing instant regret before you even open your wallet. Major corporations understand this biological weakness and deliberately design their pricing menus, subscription tiers, and shopping platforms to weaponize choice against your wallet every single day. Take a look at modern streaming services, ride-sharing apps, or food delivery platforms that show you hundreds of options specifically so you suffer from decision fatigue and order higher-priced convenience items. Think about the last time you spent 45 minutes scrolling through streaming movies, gave up because you were exhausted, and ended up ordering expensive takeaway food you did not need. That was not a personal failure of willpower. That was a carefully engineered dark pattern operating on your brain's inability to process infinite choices without suffering fatigue. In fact, researchers at Stanford University found that people who are forced to make continuous small choices show a dramatic drop in impulse control and financial self-discipline immediately afterward. But here is where the trap gets significantly worse, because behavioral scientists divide all human decision-makers into two distinct psychological categories: maximizers and satisficers. Maximizers are people who refuse to make a purchase or career move until they have thoroughly examined every single alternative to guarantee they get the absolute best option available. Satisficers are people who set a clear internal standard for what is good enough, and the moment they find an option that meets that threshold, they buy it and move on immediately. On paper, you would assume that maximizers end up richer because they do more research and compare every price, interest rate, and feature across the entire marketplace. But when Barry Schwartz and his research team tracked graduates entering the workforce, they discovered a shocking outcome that surprised even the behavioral psychologists conducting the study. Maximizers did land jobs that paid 20% higher salaries on average compared to satisficers, but they were significantly less happy, more stressed, and deeply dissatisfied with their careers. Because maximizers constantly fixate on unchosen alternatives, they waste thousands of dollars on upgrades, constant switching fees, and impulsive fixes trying to chase an impossible ideal that does not exist. Stay with me, because what I am about to show you in the next 2 minutes is the part that changes how you view your lifestyle, your budget, and your career forever. The second way choice overload keeps you poor is through a hidden financial mechanism called lifestyle inflation, triggered by the Diderot effect in modern consumer culture. French philosopher Denis Diderot received a gift of an elegant scarlet dressing gown. But once he owned it, he realized his old furniture looked cheap compared to his beautiful new robe. He bought new rugs, expensive mirrors, and high-end furniture to match the gown, going completely broke simply because one new luxury choice created a chain reaction of unnecessary secondary purchases. Every time you upgrade your phone, your car, or your apartment tier, you open up 30 new categories of mandatory choices that continuously pull cash directly out of your investment portfolio. When you are constantly forced to compare thousands of luxury products, your baseline for what counts as a basic necessity shifts upward without you even noticing it happen. Behavioral economists refer to this psychological shifting baseline as hedonic adaptation, where higher spending becomes your new minimum standard rather than a special reward. So how do smart people break free from this hidden trap and protect their wealth without retreating from modern society or living like an isolated hermit in the woods? The secret used by high-performing investors and self-made millionaires is the intentional creation of strict decision frameworks, default choices, and voluntary constraints. Author and economist Herbert Simon won the Nobel Prize in Economics for proving that human rationality is bounded, meaning we function best when we deliberately limit our daily choices. Instead of comparing 50 different index funds every month, top investors set up one automated transfer into a single, low-cost index fund and never look at the alternatives again. Instead of spending 2 hours every week comparing phone plans or shopping deals, high earners automate their recurring bills, establish fixed wardrobe choices, and eliminate daily micro-decisions entirely. When you automate your financial life, you effectively remove the temptation to micromanage options that offer diminishing returns on your time and mental energy. By turning yourself into a deliberate satisficer who picks options that are good enough rather than searching for perfection, you instantly save hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars every year. Consider the cognitive tax you pay every time you spend 3 days researching the perfect $20 kitchen gadget instead of focusing on growing your primary income stream. That lost focus represents a massive hidden loss in potential earnings that far outweighs any tiny discount you might have found by comparing 40 different online sellers. Highly effective people protect their attention like cash because they realize that decision fatigue directly degrades the quality of their high-value strategic career choices. When you establish rigid personal guardrails around your financial decisions, you stop reacting to marketing triggers engineered by companies to capture your attention and dollars. This is why simplifying your life and reducing physical and digital options creates a compounding financial advantage over time that very few people fully appreciate or understand. So let us pull all of this together into a clear, actionable framework you can implement starting today to stop choice overload from secretly draining your financial future. First, recognize that infinite choice is not freedom. It is a hidden tax on your attention, your energy, and your wallet that companies actively exploit to make you spend more. Second, eliminate low-value decisions by creating fixed personal defaults for your meals, clothing, investments, and recurring monthly purchases so your brain stays fresh for high-stakes decisions. Third, shift your mindset from a maximizer who constantly worries about missing out on the best deal to a satisficer who identifies what is sufficient and acts with total confidence. Fourth, cap your shopping and investment research options to a strict maximum of 3 choices before forcing yourself to make a final decision without endless delay. Fifth, recognize that perfection is a statistical impossibility designed by advertisers to keep you in a perpetual state of discontentment and impulse consumption. Once you stop chasing the illusion of the perfect option, you reclaim control over your attention, lower your stress levels, and watch your net worth grow rapidly without extra effort. You will notice an immediate improvement in your mental clarity the moment you restrict the number of choices competing for your brain power every single morning. Your savings rate will naturally increase because you no longer waste money on impulse upgrades or unnecessary secondary purchases driven by lifestyle comparisons and decision fatigue. The most successful individuals are not those who analyze every single alternative, but those who build simple systems that protect them from their own psychological flaws. Taking back control of your financial destiny starts with the conscious choice to radically reduce the number of trivial decisions you allow into your everyday environment. When you master this behavioral principle, you liberate your cognitive capacity to focus on the small handful of decisions that truly move the needle for your wealth. Share this video with one person you know who deserves to understand how their brain works, because one single conversation about choice overload could change how they handle money forever.